Fine. Very good morning to the audience. I'm happy to meet you all again for the session 3, Project Closure Ethics and Digital Management. So, in this session, we have the module 2. So, as the sessions are being planned for every module, we have two sessions, and this could be the third session, and we are entering into the module 2, that is project auditing and assessment. So, with respect to all the actions with respect to project closure, project management, project ethics, and follow up with respect to digitalization, every individual focus has to be made with respect to analyzing the in and out of the project and make sure the projects are entering into the smoother zone without any furthermore pitfalls or hindrances. So this is going to be the agenda for today's discussion. In this, we are going to detail on auditing process, auditing navigations, and auditing allocations with respect to each and every phases what we have in projects. And moreover, we have some allocations on how the entire ideology behind auditing reviewing has to be placed with respect to a committee who are all the accelerative force for ensuring the rightness and the correctness and the perfection of a committee to be a auditor, auditee, and as well as to finalize the entire work without any non-conformance report. So this particular audit everywhere, since we are all working, we might have an awareness about auditing. So everywhere, every semester once or every year once, some external body has been inculcated to incorporate some new functionalities into a project team for making them understand that what is the need for the hour, for making them understand what are all to be done to improvise the contribution and to increase the standards. So everywhere we are insisting the organizations to get into ISO, that is International Organization for Standardization, which has been renewed every particular periodical wise. The review has been conducted, internal review, external review, and then we are going for the external review, which is highly prioritized for ranking an organization. So for these and all, project management has to be executed with the empowerment of making the entire authority to put into a nutshell rather than focusing on the other deviations. So ultimate agenda of assessment and auditing reveals the non-elevated or non-projected or non-upcoming elements to make them uplifted in order to upgrade the organization. So for any organization, upgrading means has only three basic areas or three basic phases, which means initiation, progresses or reviews, and then attaining the top level objective, attaining the top notch. So these three phases, we might have some ups and downs, we might have some elevations, we might have some, designations, variations with respect to extending a fullest cooperation among the three members who are all in the same team. So on analyzing the three phases, I will be allocating three members on the same team, one who is going to be the initiator, one who is going to be the propagator, or one who is going to be the executor. Everyone follows a protocol or follows the phenomenal approaches. By following those phenomenal approaches, what are all the things to be done? That is a designation, evaluation, extension of work, termination. Because of termination, what are all the consequences on making the termination extended? I'm postponing my termination, which is also because of project closure. So ultimately, a project has to be closed or a project has to be terminated, but in what extent I'm postponing it? My failure is forecasted, but the failure could be postponed for getting a chance of succeeding. This is what the assessment is. So yeah, ultimately, failure will be forecasted earlier in order to extend or in order to postpone or in order to make the failure in the later date. I might have a chance or I might have powers or authority or a steering committee to insist me to postpone my failure rather than attaining success in that particular cooling period or the breathing period. This is what the introduction tells to us. Getting to the next concept. So, when I go for audit planning, what are the key characteristics I should note down? After making these three things, that is initiation, progress or reviews, and finalization to the top notch, after making these three things, in order to make it a consistent one, in order to make it as a relevant one, and to be in the part of market or be in the part of organization or be in the competition, I need to focus on these three key characteristics. And along with the three, the last one will be on the support which is given by the institution, which is common. Every institution will extend some support to every individual, project coordinators who are all supporting to the project. But the first three elements are to be present along with the employee side, aligned with the standards of ISO or aligned with the standards of a project which has been given by the associative body. And second one is independence. I shall not say as the UG students of all engineering or the UG students of all other domains are doing a project. If four members are available in a project, the fourth fellow, the first fellow, the second fellow, and all the four fellows in the particular project must be aware about in and out of the project. I cannot say this part does not belonging to me. I did only analysis. I did only operations. I did only the typing part. I did only the testing part. I cannot delegate the work. The work can be delegated, but the knowledge on the reason for existence and the entire process has to be known by each and every individual contributor. That independence is what demanded from the organizational side. If I'm going to demonstrate my project to a particular third party, I should be in a situation to defend my entire work on a research activity in order to ensure that I have done this work on my own without any interdependency. So, for which I need to be independent and demonstrating my entire prototype. So for making a product prototype, independency is the vital factor. And coming to the third factor is transparency, which is highly open up. Entire activity of a project has to be given with the clarity and given with the open experimentation. I cannot close up or nothing cannot be limited to a boundary. Project is like an ocean. I should show up. I should go to the maximum capacity. I should utilize the maximum resources. So effective utilization of resources, contribution, effective progress, effective reviews, all putting together nothing but transparency. These are all the things will happen in your project only if you show transparency. If there is a lack of transparency, what will happen? Automatically, project might go to the new hand. A project might migrate from one organization to another organization. By that point of time, a project's tender, a project's quotation, a project's value, a project's roadmap, these are all the things will change if these four characteristics are not in scale or not aligned. Obviously, a project might go to a new hand, a project might migrate, and the project loses its value. So, this will become the reason for its closure. So, I'll give you an example. So in this particular audit planning keys, I might have an option of making a real-time application of introducing a new product. So if I go for once upon a time we have a stoke, we have a option of getting a tube light with lot of filamental activities, with lot of chokes, with lot of interconnected spare parts. Slowly it has been migrated to a new innovative product called LED. So now we are experiencing the same capability, the same life, the same work life period, the same product maintenance, everything has been done and the stabilization has been given. And the lesser the spare part, maximize the powers of the particular product as becoming the need for the hour today. So slowly we are migrating from each and every project's innovation, project's key factors, and those key factors are going to give me each and every product in a particular capsule. So obviously, I may face, or I may feel a product's success is because of its upgradation only, and that upgradation is because of following the four elements which are all displayed in the slide. If I deviate in any one of these points, my project will be there as a prototype or as a working experiment, but I cannot get any outcomes, or but I could not face any challenges, but I could not compare any standardizations. If these things are not happening, I could not, these comparisons, I could not upgrade my project. For upgradation, for making the project to be in the next version, I should make the projects to have maximum number of versions. Then only it means that project is under working condition. If not, the product will not get further more versions. We will not in a position to witness the nth version of the product. The nth version of the product might should be witnessed by us by using the first version of the product. I'm using the 10th version of the product. I'm proud to say I have seen so many versions in the previous 9 versions of the same product. I'm using the 10th version. I'm happy to have this. So, how many number of iterations? Say, for example, Voltas. So, once upon a time, Voltas was introduced. It was a project given to across all the manufacturing industry. Window AC has been introduced long back, 20, 25 years back, during 95, 97, 98, 2000. It was a one which was created with a huge hype. But now slowly it has becoming a reframing again and again. Lot of competitors, Vestas, O General, LG, Samsung, every individual competitor are demonstrating their prototype with the new innovativeness. It was only manually operated long back. Now it is getting operated with a mobile phone by giving a particular app recognition, by giving face recognition, by giving a missed call, by giving all kind of every individual fulfillment. I am extremely enjoying the benefit of each and every project auditing process. This is all becoming only because of a proper auditing, proper inspection, whether the product prototype is really fit enough to the current competitive scenario. The current competitive scenario is all depending on three categorization. I just let you know the three categorization. One is price, one is commodity, one is market scenario. I'm just posting it as a poll. So, in among these three things, what criteria must we need to follow in order to ensure how much awareness a customer should have towards making a project auditing in order to ensure these three things, that is price, commodity, and market scenario of making a competition. So, in a particular competition, I need to ensure the price, commodity, and as well as market scenario, the project might close. So the project might close because of these three things. And what is the first priority? So when it is getting to a particular new market, it might have a change of figures, it might have a change of price, it might have a change of commodity. And when I try to reveal the commodity strength and commodity weakness, it might go to a next level of updation. It might go to a next level of scrutiny. So by that point of time, it might have a preview. As like a print preview, we might have a preview phase or a trial phase or a planned phase. So when I get into these kind of activity, my planned phase, my entire options, my entire creativity, my entire transparency will work out only with this process of making these three things in a particular nutshell. So when these things are given, what are all the policies and activation procedures I'll be focusing on? So when these things are done, I'm very simple. The very simple activity, what I'm going to focus is how these manipulations are done with the flow of actions. So kindly give me the responses for those polls that the project might close because of the three basic things, that is market scenario, price, and commodity. Could I get any options? As of now, zero responses. One response, market scenario. What about the others? Either price or commodity. Could anyone tell me why price and commodity could not be the role play? By giving the responses, I have seen market scenario is first one. So I let you know it is very simple. Market scenario, price and commodity all put together, as rightly pointed out, market scenario is the one which is going to disturb the project because the price and the commodity are product oriented. Market scenario is competition oriented, what we refer here as competitive rivalries, RIVALRIES. That is, competitive rivalry is what we strategically fit or strategically unfit for a marketing price fixation. So that marketing price fixation has been done by a project is because of the scenario. It might change. All of the sudden, as we witnessed demonetization, a product might face a failure. A product might face a downfall. These things might happen in a particular product phase or a project phase is because of various constraints, lack of marginal support, a lack of economical order quantity, lack of inventory management, or lack of accessing the bills or clearing the bills. If I'm getting the remuneration for a particular 6 months of period, the 6 months of waiting period might make me to close the project. I don't want this activity anymore. If my remunerations is getting postponed, obviously I may go for a opposite competitor, one who is giving me the fastest response. So this is what we include in policies. The number one is mission statement, then skill specification, stakeholder responsibility. Who are all the stakeholders? Myself, yourself, and one who is going to supply, and one who is going to manufacture, and one who is going to be the wholesaler, retailer, even the mediator, agent, one who is going to be the warehouser, one who is going to be the design prototyper. So these fellows are considered as the stakeholders, and those stakeholders' responsibility has to be delegated, has to be oriented with the role, has to be engaged with the perspective of making the project to get into the next level. Only then the project will get a self-motivated, self-stimulated. It can be the continuous position. If these things are not available in a regular phenomenal approaches, the peripherals like other criteria, that is initiation, execution, reporting, or going for a legal appeal, everything might happen because of going for a review. So as we have in our examination scenario, going for a revaluation, applying for revaluation, if the revaluation marks are not okay for me, I'm going for a review challenging by paying extra amount. So the policy of Edu Mark or Edu Mate or Edu Factors, Edu Knowledge portals, majority of Edu portals have this is going to be the challenge round. If I pay, so for example, sum of about 3,000 rupees and applying for a review or a challenge, if my marks are getting updated, if there is a huge difference between the previous mark and the corrected mark, I might get the same amount in return as I am going for a challenge round, which is the extreme offending of a particular edu portal to make a correction. As we students do this, this is the same kind of activity we are following in project auditing too. It is a kind of appealing. So when I go for appeal, if I'm paying a penal amount or a penalty, what we call it as penalty, if I'm penalized with the financial derivative, I might go for a new payment as a penalty, and that penalty might not have an impact on going for furthermore n kind of appeals. So when this particular kind of role play given by these stakeholders, the first three positions, that is mission, skill specification, and the stakeholders, if all the three things are aligned, obviously the next four fellows, that is audit triggering criteria, initiation and executions and reporting will be happening in a smoother way. If all these things are misaligned, if it is not fulfilled exactly, if it is partially fulfilled, obviously I'll be going for a reappeal. So I'll give you another example. There might be a competitor for all kind of locomotives or all kind of products and the spare parts, auto spare parts company. So in this particular project of manufacturing an auto spare parts company, we all might have an awareness regarding the tenure of which the spare part might come for a utility. So that particular tenure is a promising period what we are giving as a kind of manufacturer to the customers, and those customers are getting benefited by using the same spare part for an extended tenure period. That extended tenure period is a bonus. But before the tenure period is getting exhausted, if the spare part is getting into any kind of failure, I might go for a reappeal, stating that the product, the consumer redressal forum, what we used to learn in legal aspects of business, there is a subject called law, that is law paper under business administration. In this particular subject, we might have a focus on Consumer Protection Act 1986. So under Consumer Protection Act 1986, we have under three forums, that is a national forum, which are all creating the national domestic issues with respect to across the entire states of a particular country, and getting into a, I mean, district forum and as well as a state forum. So, as of country's problem is concerned, we are going to redressal the entire grievances will be under a national forum. If it is going to be a state-oriented issue, if it is going to be a district-oriented issue, we might have three forums across all the domestical or the demographical factors to be dealt on. So, if these things are happening in a scale, obviously, I might get a standard slowly. So, Consumer Protection Act 1986 is insisting me to be one of the scale, not to be one of the project. So, for very good project management example, we might take this Consumer Protection Act 1986, which is executing all the cases which are all filed up, which are all as a complaint or easily addressed by majority of top level people across all the nominations. For to be a member of these kind of redressal forum, it is not a easy way of being a nominated member of a redressal forum. There is a prototype. There is a protocol too. I cannot just like that appoint an individual as the supreme authority of a particular forum. A retired Supreme Court judge and a member who is a bar council contributor and the member who is getting nominated from the bar council, one who is practicing it, one who is really qualified with all kind of qualification which are all regular. After verifying those documentation evidence, I am having a gender oriented appointments. I cannot appoint all the members as males. I cannot appoint all the members as females. I have a gender ratio. So these are all the things which are all contributing to project management, which is extending the closure period. So my agenda is not to close. My agenda as the project manager, everyone's agenda as a project manager is to extend the project time, get a lifetime period, getting an exhausted period, and making the exhausted period to extend furthermore. This is what every individual manager do. But as of myself, the project is concerned, I'm making a real time decision on giving a clear cut understanding on how the project is extended, because of what the project is getting extended, how the ethics is being followed everywhere. Without following ethics, obviously the project will close. I might have a upliftment and monetary benefit, but it is not for a permanent scenario. It might it might be a temporary element or a temporary ailment for making the entire action, which is purely on a consolidated basis or a contractual basis, which could be considered only as a ad hoc, not as a regular one. So this is what the slide is going to tell us. And getting through a planned action, how the audit goals to be get through in a planned action. So goal of auditing has to be predefined with some audit situations. So every auditing has a separate checklist or evaluation checklist. So last month we had a checklist in our institution. The checklist has about seven criteria. Each checklist will be around 1 to 1.5 pages. The seven criteria has around 15 pages. So those 15 pages have around 70 to 80 number of questions approximately. If those 80 questions, minimum criteria is around 60 percentage. That is 48 questions, more than 40, greater than or equal to 48 questions out of 80 questions I should fulfill. If this fulfillment is not there, obviously I'll be going for a re-appeal or a re-audit. So the external agency who is coming for auditing will check the entire files and document evidence what we have with respect to students, like course file, logbooks, I mean maintenance of attendance and maintenance of EduMat portal, maintenance of online DigiPorter, maintenance of Google Classrooms, and how it is being a hybrid one, both physical and online, how it is maintained. So these verifications have to be made by the external one who is coming for the auditing, for which he has to goal fix the entire successive planning. Here we are implementing three types of planning: cognitive planning, successive planning, making the plan which is critical, which is the third one is highly critical. So cognitive thinking or a cognitive planning is nothing but making the plan very smoother, making the plan which is highly attainable and targetable and highly usable to a consumer. Whereas cohesive planning or a successive planning, which is nothing but a consolidated one, analyzing the prefix and suffix, analyzing the predecessor and the successor, and making the plan which is highly consolidated. The plan should be more and more integrated with respect to the previous iteration and the upcoming iteration. And the last one, critical planning, is nothing but understanding the critical situation, planning accordingly, making the plan which is highly remarkable. Those planning for remarkable phases or the danger zones which has been bypassed or trespassed without any huge loss. This is what critical planning gives us a clarity. If these sufficient resources, if I have in my organization, I can face these three levels. I can cross, I can bypass it, I can trespass it easily. So those trespassers who are all along with me till the end of the audit, those trespassers will be consolidated, and the report given by the external audit team should have zero non-conformance report. So that we call it as NCR, zero conformance non-conformance report. If I'm getting a non-conformance report, it is like a black mark. So for which I need to give a relevant explanation, and that explanation has to be accepted by the students. If they are not accepting those NCRs, then obviously the outstanding NCRs will make the goal diluted, will make the plan, totally diluted. It will be like a non-uniformity. It will be like a deviated one. It will be outside the box. So slowly I'm getting a escalation. Those escalations, I'm repeatedly getting the escalation, which becomes a black mark, which becomes a memo, which becomes a dismissal, suspension, and going on to the termination point. So this is what majorly happens in majority of organizations which are all running without any standardized plan. So getting to the troubled projects. So unless and otherwise the costing, the time successive planning, the scope of the project is not identified. If these three things are not identified regularly and pattern, there should be a pattern. There should be a planned, executed pattern. I should know how it is correlated. If there is no correlation between time, cost, and scope, obviously it is not acceptable project. The project which is not acceptable will not get the approval. If the approval is not given, automatically the organization will make the executive channel members or the key channel members to identify the performances area, and only the performances area of the project will be taken away. The remaining skeleton of the project will be thrown away. So if this happens, obviously the schema, the working formulae, the working principle, the working theorem will be grabbed by the company from the opposite company in order to make the organization added more with the new projects. This is the reason majorities of companies are in downfall because of sharing the most confidential formulae or the working principle or the framework of the project which should not be done. And for the closure of a project, if I'm throwing it away, out of scrap, if I'm getting some idea, it is highly penalizable, for which we are recognizing IPR, that is intellectual property rights, getting patented or getting copyrights or getting a trademark or getting a rights which is highly claimable by submitting the prototype to a IPR website or IPR portal. So iprindia.gov.in is giving us a clarity on how to file a patent. For filing a patent, I will be driven with some data mechanisms. Those data warehouses has to be identified, has to be experimented, and then only my proposal has to be submitted. If the proposal is free from plagiarism or free from copyrights, it will be accepted for registering a patent or filing a patent on my own criteria or my own phenomenal criteria. So these things might happen or might not happen only and only because of the interest of the executive or the steering committee who are all working behind this work. Those work have to be registered first, then only will be free from error. If the work is registered in any of these portals which is associated by either a state or central government or any other associative body, quasi governments too, if those governments or any associative body is controlling us, easily the project might get escalated with or projected to the next level with respect to positivity. So the word escalation is not only for, going outside the particular project or going outside the network. It could be escalated to the next level. It could be elevating to the next level. It automatically speaks out with the brighter outlet. So this is the reason for troubled projects. And for the reasons for the troubled project, what are all the symptoms or what are all the signs? So things might have a notably procedurally scheduled budget might be out of the reach of point value. So for example, if I plan this particular semester, I need to handle three courses at a point of time. If my boss or if my head of the department is not going to give me three courses at a point of time, I'll be allocated only with the two courses. I might go for a new lab session or a new practical session. I might go for a resource person for any other institution who is seeking my lecture. So I'll be projecting myself without letting my supervisor or the boss who is aware on entire plus and minus of myself. I might go for a new outlet. So he might not stop me. The supervisor who is looking care of my progress will not stop me from the entire troubled project. He might trouble me in the working scenario. If I'm not doing well in my subjects, he might have a checklist. He might trouble me. He might torture me. But at the same point, if I'm going outside as an external resource person, he might not stop me. He is not having any right to claim on me because it is out of my own interest. The project phases are purely negative because the control is centralized. These things are happening because there is no transparency, there is no alignment, there is no decentralization. If the project is decentralized, I am sure that the project will succeed. If if the major milestones are being messed up on a frequent basis, it is a reason for failure. So the troubled projects are really happening because of non-steadiness, non-executiveness, non-managerial platforms or non-deliverables. So these are all the expected constraints what I have when I'm going for a testing and when I'm going for a evaluation or inspection. If I go for a test, obviously the test result will give me either positive or negative. If I go for any kind of, say for example, COVID test is a project. If I go for any kind of test, if it is going for a three number of iterations or five number of iterations, the major iterations can be considered. If I'm going for four or six or eight constraints or testing, if it is going to be a bias like a 2-2 or 3-3, what decision I will finalize? So that only the test procedures or odd numbers to test the criteria, one and only the major portions will be considered. Out of three, if two is telling me positive, it is positive. Ignore the negative, ignore the least, ignore the minority. This is what the sign of a troubled project. Out of eight projects, if I'm having four are troubled projects and four are positive projects, there is no use in giving four positive projects into the market because already I have four negative projects which is troubling me because of lack of alignment, because of lack of transparency. So when I'm planning for any kind of projects or any kind of activities, I need to be very strong enough in giving a clarity on projects, giving a clarity on allocating the resources, giving an optimization exactly. So the optimizational techniques, as like we use it for calculations, analytical calculations, assignment problems, transportation problems, we might learn in our MBA. So these are all the project executed factors, critical path method, program evaluation review technique, calculations of lead time. So you might be learning these kind of concepts in the other papers. That papers concepts are also contributing for a project identification. So these are all the signs. Lack of lead time might be the sign of a troubled project. A lack of calculation of assignment problem. So when I'm doing the same assignment problem, I just introduce a new term to you all. There is a term called solver in Excel. So what we do in our curriculum is we make the first year students to focus on Solver. First semester students to get focus on Solver, which is available in the open platform called Microsoft Excel. So as the part of Excel, it is considered as a add-in features of an Excel, which has to be configured, which has to be enabled by the user. So the user interfaces in Excels are highly customizable. The customized options, what are all available in MS Excel, are all the fulfilling factors or the contributing factors which could identify the project troubleness. We can include a real-time problem involved in a particular advanced Excel operations. We have this tool called Solver. So kindly get some inputs regarding Solver, which is like self-tutorial, which is easily available in your open platform, which is not a licensed one. Rather than if I'm going for SPSS, it is going to be a licensed one. We have PSPP, which is an open platform, which is applicable, which is compatible highly in Windows 10. So those PSPPs are also statistical package software. As we go for statistical package software for social sciences, SPSS. So those kind of softwares which are all highly version oriented. We have 16th version and 20th version which is updated. It is keep on updated. Usually for student way of community, we are giving version 16. So my students were working on version 16 in the previous iterations. The upcoming students might work in the next iteration or the next version, one and only because the version what we work today will be a troubled one tomorrow. So I'm introducing a new version again and again and again. It becomes a loop. I cannot stop. I cannot say no to a new version because it is a bugged one. I feel there are enormous bugs available in each and every version. So I'm going for a new one. So whenever a bug is arising, the causes or the failure, what I tell it as a computer term is nothing but bug. If I tell it as a common cause of failure, the end user, the minimization, the weak business cases, the corporate goals, and plans, which are all taking too much of time or making a smaller contribution, I'm taking too much of time. This might be the reason. So the five reasons what are all displayed in this current slide are because of three basic monsters. One is corporate, one is functional, one is departmental. If a corporate thinking is not good, obviously it might go the channel towards closure. If the functional team is not good, obviously the entire function has to be stopped. Say for example, TVS. TVS has their own manufacturing unit, their own logistics, their own warehousing, their own contributions towards supplier, retailer, wholesaler. Every phases of TVS is going to the next level. Their first confidence in making the project is independency and transparency. Only these two key features are making TVS to get elevated to the next level. This is only because of TVS confidence towards independency and TVS confidence towards transparency. They are dare enough to show their products open up to the market without any hidden features. So behind the screen, there is nothing in TVS. So only the TVS is still ruling the entire manufacturing unit. Delphi TVS, all the Lucas TVS, everywhere the entire manufacturability is highly indexed when compared to the other feature. So getting to the next slide, the technical objectives. What are all the common mistakes we do? In the previous slide, it was an error or a cause of the failure. In that, what are all the mistakes we do from the user end? This is a management mistakes. My department or my functional or my corporate ideology is wrong, is wrongly predicted, is going in a reverse manner. It has backfired to me. Those kind of backfireness or those kind of reverse categorizations or getting into a management related mistakes. Going for a planning mistakes and as well as the external influences. Every individual point mentioned here as three kind of mistakes or because of poor deciders or poor executors who are all into the management. So technically speaking, when a project is about to get closed, it is initiated by the top level people. It is prolonged by the middle level people, and slowly by the low level people. They are not aware about what is happening since they follow the instruction from the middle level, and the middle level people are, lateral. They get instruction both from the top level and both from the colleague, co-worker. So the middle level people are unaware about how the consequences will be after closing the project. And ultimately, the project is getting closed, and these are all the reasons there is no connection for why the project has been closed, and majority of projects are closed because of these three mistakes, which are all routine. Every 15 days or every 1 month, these to be checked, these to be reviewed, these to be identified, and then only we need to gain some action. Then only the plan could be made effectively. So getting to the next slide, that is recovery. So till now we have discussed on the troubleness or the failure or the activity, the project which is highly vulnerable. Now we are getting into a troubleness factor, which is recovery, how to recover it. So employees to get into the excess nature of working. So the overtime, once upon a time, overtime has been recognized with some added incentives. But now it has become a part and parcel of the regular work. So there is nothing called a recognized revenue apart from one or two companies, as like tangible set of companies. We can count those companies which are all giving, extra remuneration. So majority of companies are not at all worrying about the employees staying overtime, extending their work, exceeding their limitation. Every employee is like having a mileage. As we observe, every employee working in an organization should have a mileage. Not all employee could be like a Hero Honda Splendor, or not all employees could be like a Java or a Royal Enfield. So there are employees should maintain a mileage of about 40 or 50 kilometers per liter. I'm not expecting a employee mileage must have a 60 or 75 kilometer per liter or like 80 kilometers per liter as once upon a time Hero Honda Splendor was giving. So slowly the recovery could be made by identifying the mileage of an employee. As of myself is concerned, my mileage is around 40 to 50 kilometer per liter. Beyond that, I will not run. Why? Because I have space. The extra running can be done by tomorrow. If I run 70 kilometers per hour per liter for today, I might not go for the next trip tomorrow. So this 70 or 50, what designating is nothing like a contribution to the organization. If I'm contributing around 40 to 50 percentage today only, I can contribute 50%, the same 50 percentage tomorrow. If the organization is ready to extract from me like 80 to 90 percentage today, the next day I will not be in a situation to go for the fullest contribution as like did before. So the prior contribution decides you. I cannot say no to the exact scenario. Then only the employee or the organization or the conditional testing, everything becomes uniform. So this is how we are making the employees to work under the severe pressure. That is unnecessary additional work, replacing the team members with inappropriate time. Say, for example, if these things will match with your daily routine too. If this particular subject is handled by around 5 to 10 people in a particular semester, how will you feel? So this is what the entire project should also be. If I start a project, unless the project is completed, if the project is converted to a prototype, if the prototype is getting approved, if it is getting patented, till then I should be there in the team. I should not terminate myself. The project member should not terminate me. The organization should not be kick me out. These things should be strictly followed. So this is the vital reason majority of projects are getting deviated. And finally, increasing the team stress and pressure without understanding the ramification. That word ramification is random checking and random inspection, which are all happening in a sudden plot. There will not be any prior announcement. There will not be any sudden happenings might reveal the exact worthiness of the project. So that is what the transparency should give. If I am transparent, I should not cook up anything. I should not fabricate anything. The fabrication process is highly prohibited in a project. Please don't do any kind of amplification or any kind of fabrication or any kind of cooking up in a particular project which is not at all required. And getting to the next slide, the critical assessment for making the project to exist is nothing but on three categorization: actual performances, identifying the error, and root cause analysis. So actual performance is actually in lesson plan. We have given a status out of 12 classes. I have given a lesson plan. Five classes, around 10 classes will be for the five modules, and the 11th class will be for a case study, and the 12th class will be the revision for entire unit. We have a plan. So for online session, if I'm meeting you 1 hour a day, I'm planning 12 hours of session. That 12 hours has to be dissected in this manner. Similarly, project management should also adhere to a particular framework, or should adhere to a particular lesson plan or a time plan. route plan or a work plan or job plan, whatever we term it as, finally it is a focused way of giving a tentative date, and that tentative date has to be strictly followed. Don't utter a word called approximately. Be like accurate, exact identification. If the session is initiated, be on a particular session if we are going to discuss these planned existed one. So this is going to be the third session. As of plan, it is going on smoothly till the third. So what about the next nine iterations? It should be as like these three iterations. This is what project management is giving us. But majority of poor or non-standardized or employees are not aligned. They might go for a change. So sudden change should not affect the regularity of a one who is going to get contributed. So the flaw, the agenda, the people, the process, the purpose, the performances, the prototype, the portfolio, all the thing must adhere to a system of making all kind of proliferations, all kind of root cause analysis. Getting to the benefits. So if I'm going for a increased way of analyzing the risk and increase of going of making the performances to the next level, it might go with them effectively. It might avoid some scrap. It might avoid wasting time and cost. It might get into a new scenario. I can easily learn out of it how the agenda, how the objectives are framed, and how the objectives are giving the pathway for the next set of individual who is going to contribute. And this is the reason we are making a clear cut understanding about criticality and the pathways and the measurements and the analytical analysis which are all behind these kind of project management. So in which I can reduce the physical work. Slowly the digitalization takes place. The digital system is taking the role of myself. I'm just to operate the digital system which is highly usable and highly flexible in order to enjoy the scope of the system, which is highly periodical and purposeful. Those purposeful and periodical way of inputs are all the drivers of my success. Unless and otherwise, if the system is not digitalized, if I'm still working on with the same old physical traditional process, I might complete the task, but costing, timing, extension, warranty, product proliferation, products expectation, products quality, price, commodity, everything will enhance and everything will take at most time. And that might go for a extended tenure for manufacturing. I might not fulfill the task. I might not get an opportunity to close the task immediately. It might extend further. So these things might not happen, which could be arrested, which could be stopped from my end. So getting to the next point, that is process, how the assessments to be. So in this particular phase one, we are going to have a audit segments. In the upcoming phase, that is by tomorrow, we'll be having the extreme of assessments and how it is detailed in a version of making each and every categorizations on analyzing the assessments to the next level. So till now, audit process, auditing flexibilities and auditing analysis and auditing consequences and how the assessments and how the wide way of actions are being taken away. So for which we need to have an engagement, identification of challenges, discussing with our steering committee or a single project or leader or making an organizational assessment which should be undertaken from a organizational perspective. So apart from the organizational perspective, no personal conflicts or no individual assessment to be made because it is a teamwork. I cannot say that I am the one who has contributed, so I'm claiming the entire rights. It is a teamwork. But as of claiming is concerned, we cannot claim. But for knowledge is concerned, but for input is concerned, all the members should have the common set of inputs, which will make the entire members to get into the next level of upgradation. So coming to the last segment, that is while I'm setting a business value or while I'm getting a methodology, the variations which I witness in each and every methodology, the essence, what we add for getting a juice. So project assessment is like a glass of juice. So in the glass of juice, I add some essence called setting expectations. I add some honey called research and observation. I add and sting well with the ice cubes called analysis and reporting. So, like setting expectations is nothing but adding an essence, that is sweet essence. And research and observation is like adding some additive elements like seeds or like what are all the additive elements we add into a juice. And finally, we have some added criteria called analysis and reporting is like stirring well with the ice cubes. So on all mixing together, one, two, three mixed up together, I'm giving a 400 ml of a glass jar of juice. So by consuming the juice, what you will get an taste of project assessment. You will get a taste of project finding. You will get a taste of project reach. What are all the outreach benefits I have if the project is taken to the next level? How the beneficial scale or beneficial circle are getting fulfilled? How many beneficiaries I have with my Bluetooth area and Wi-Fi area? If I am fitting myself into the Bluetooth area, it is highly limited. So between a Bluetooth area and Wi-Fi area, I might go somewhere extended along the entire boundary of my premises. And slowly, if the Bluetooth area or Wi-Fi area are getting diminished, I'm getting to the next level of elevation where I am lacking with the support of approaches and putting an end note. Right resources is not there. We all get an awareness from Peter Drucker, management concepts and philosophies. Our principles of management we might have learned on Peter F. Drucker. So management is nothing but getting art of getting things done, or management as a what management does. So every individual management does with some external supplies, internal supplies, and assessments, recommendations, having all external and internal together. I'm consolidating all the cultures and putting all the implementations as a common mixture or a composition to a particular bowl of intake. So this bowl of intake has enormous kind of inputs, which is highly crucial, highly strategical, and highly demandable. So every individual demandable or a particular piece which is taken as right must be analyzed before getting into any kind of criticisms. So my suggestions towards project management is avoid criticisms, give priority to failure. So the takeaways of today's session is just bulletins, around five takeaways. First is avoiding criticisms, and second is, I mean, reason for failure, and the third one is assessment and periodical review, and the fourth one might be reporting, and the fifth one is digitalization. So if I do these five things regularly in a project, I'm damn sure that the project will not close. The project will have life. If the project life is extended, at most product prototype can be innovatively introduced, and I can go for n kind of versions. Those n kind of versions are utilizable or into the market or into a new scope. This will increase the usability and the consumability and the entire accessibility towards the end user. So with this, I'll close for today. So any doubts on this? Till now, we have discussed assessment, auditing, the entire angle of making the dimensional decisions too. So till now, do you have any clarity or do you have any queries? Fine. So in the community group, I am sharing the days, the particular sessions, review inputs. That is PowerPoint presentations, and as well as the ebook you might have, I mean, stored in your Microsoft Teams files folder. So my suggestion is have a review of each and every notations, then and then what we are completing the sessions, and make sure that the assignment has been posted by the DD office, and making all the clarity and giving the each and every PowerPoint to next level and store it. And while you are traveling or while you are in a leisure time, just scroll it. You need not take any prints unless and until required. You just scroll it. By making a clear cut scrolling, you might get into a next level of ideology. You just note down the hints alone. Just by taking the hints, you can develop those hints, and you can appear for the examination without any backlog. So this is what I would like to suggest to you, everyone. So thanks for the session. We'll close. Thank you.
Thank you, bro.